Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to another Sober Talk Live. And today, we'll talk a little bit more as people begin joining the live stream. We'll talk about a couple different things. I mean, besides the fact that we all know that I'm turning 41 tomorrow, my 41st birthday is tomorrow. So because of that, we're going to cover an important milestone as well today that happens the same time as my birthday. Um, but we'll talk about that just shortly. Oh, there we go. So. Right now, it's just waiting for everyone to start joining the live, which looks like we already have our first person. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow's major milestone that goes right along with my birthday. One that I've been kind of waiting to talk about because everyone gets, what's going on, Tega? Good to see you. Good to see you. Another day to talk about. Another day to talk about being sober. Tomorrow's a big milestone. Shout out! Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Big shout out to you, Tego. I've been wondering how you've been doing. I hadn't seen you in a minute, so I figured you'd be hopefully doing good, staying safe through this pandemic. I'm assuming. Which in the past 6 days, our cases down here jumped 40. It's ridiculous. Like, people, stay home. Stay home, stay alive, Good deal. Good deal. So, yeah, right now we're just kind of waiting for people to start showing up and joining us for the live stream. We got a big, I guess you could say I got a big announcement for midnight tonight. Oh, yeah. I've got the next 3 days off from work. So I'm probably going to spend a lot of time relaxing. But tomorrow is my birthday. I'm turning 41 tomorrow. Oh, thank you. I got this a couple years ago. I've got two of these shirts actually. I like the one first. I couldn't tell you which one is the first one, but I like this one so much. I bought a second. I got a couple of those where it's kind of like I got several of the same shirt. I got a lot of that actually, and a lot of Punisher t-shirts. And I like wearing Punisher t-shirts on the channel, which sometime I'll have to talk about. What's going on, Mike G? Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, tomorrow's besides my birthday, I guess you could say I finally decided to really actually talk about a milestone on my sobriety. And the reason why I decided to wait till the last minute to talk about it is because we weren't there yet. No sense of talking about it till you get there. Yeah, that's good old Mike G. Mike Gaming. I'll tell you what, Mike Gaming puts on a good show on his channel. He does an amazing job and doesn't get enough credit for what he does. Because I don't think I've ever heard him say a cross word to anybody, ever. And I've even talked to him, through Facebook Messenger. One of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. Probably easily one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. Talking to him, just absolutely a really, really kind and gentle person. I enjoy talking to Mike. I don't think I've ever heard him say a bad word about anybody, actually. No, I've never heard him say that. Oh, thank you, Ian. Princess Faye's at work right now. She'll be getting home here in a little bit. But yeah, thank you, Ian. Appreciate that, buddy. You and Pinky are very special to me. You guys are amazing. You guys are wonderful, wonderful friends. Uh, you know, I'm very fortunate to have wonderful friends like you and Pinky. You know, my a couple more of my Fortnite companions. Uh, I just, I know, I know you were joking earlier. You said, "Oh, we need to cancel Prince's birthday," and I laughed. I'm like, I could go with canceling my birthday. I could go with canceling my birthday. I'd like to hang on to 40 a little bit longer, but that's just not in the cards. That is just not in the cards for this guy. It's time for me to, continue moving through my 40s. I just wish I could slow down time a little bit so I can enjoy it a little bit more. But that's not, that's not the way it works. I got to keep putting one foot in front of the other and got to keep moving forward, with how time, time doesn't stop for me, you know, it doesn't stop for any of us. So we make do with what the time we have that we're allowed here on this earth, and we try to make it special, you know. And I'm okay with getting older, but we're gonna wait till about the 10-minute marker, and since for many people who are in the stream right now, I guess it's perfectly okay to talk about it. But I do have a big announcement. It is a milestone for me. I've mentioned it in passing, but I really haven't talked about it all that much. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Uh, I will mention this milestone at about the 10-minute marker, and I'll finally talk about it in detail. But this is a milestone since there are people now who it is the next day for them. They're on the other side of the world. So it is the next day, so I can talk about it. But we'll wait a couple more minutes. And this is going to be a huge milestone, a very important one. And I think you guys will really 21 again. My 21st birthday, I barely remember any of it. I remember taking the day off from work, a lot like what I'm doing now. I had the day off from work, and I went and bought my alcohol and went home. Normally, a lot of people go out to the bar and they buy their alcohol, but I knew I was going to get stupid drunk, and I didn't want to be driving home. Oh my goodness. Yeah, she likes to do you know why she did that? So you'd come back. That's why she did it. She ain't dumb. She knows. Ian, I know you got a birthday coming up. What day is it? So I know how much time I got. Hi, Queen. Good old Queen Bee. It was really cool. I got to do that video for her, and I know she enjoyed it. I know she enjoyed that video. And I figured there'd be a few more hits than what there was, but it was still pretty, I'm still pretty happy with it so far. About on par for my recorded content. Takes a while for the numbers to start picking up. Nope. Oh, you did? Good. Thank you. Thank you, Ian. Mr. Cartoon, we don't talk about him. I'm not allowed to. Police have asked me not to. That's all I can say. Okay? We don't talk about it. Thank you, Queen. Well, we're almost at that 10-minute marker where we kind of sit and BS. So let's cut to the chase. Let's get underway. So the first thing I need to tell you all, there is a milestone that comes with my birthday every year now. It is an important milestone. And since there are people watching Yes, I asked when your birthday was. So I know how much time I got before I got to have a video ready for you for your birthday. That was really sweet of you, Mike G. It's really sweet of you. No, sober talk is something totally different. I wouldn't do makeup. I wouldn't do makeup for sober talk. Next Thursday? Okay. Okay. I knew it was close. So I know I know how much time I got. Okay. Let's talk about tomorrow's big milestone. Besides the fact that I'm turning 41 tomorrow, let me say right now that I'm going to tell you all something that I didn't really push a whole lot. Two reasons. Right? Gotta collect the whole set, right? But tomorrow has an important milestone that I think I've kind of kept quiet for the most part. And tomorrow's milestone, yeah, it's part of life, getting older, getting older. How do you get old? By living life. That's just the way it is. But anyhow, let me tell you all right now that I didn't push this important milestone because we weren't there yet, and I kind of briefly talked about it here and there, but I didn't really spend a whole lot of time talking about it. Along with being my birthday tomorrow, it is going to be 14 and a half years since my last drink or drug, for that matter. So as of tomorrow, we now have where it'll be 14 and a half years since my last drink or drug. Uh, so I mean, I know that almost. How did you plan that? I didn't plan that. What's going on? Think different. I didn't plan that. As a matter of fact, it just kind of happened that way. February 7th is the 1 year marker. Every year on the 7th, I make another year of continuous sobriety. So now that I've said that, here you go, Ian. Here we go again. No, as of tomorrow, it's 14 and a half years since my last drink or drug. Again, you got to throw that in nowadays because there's a lot of people out there who are what I like to call pharmaceutically flexible. And in AA, that's actually a running joke. But so for those, well, it's not tomorrow for me, but for those of you already on the other side of the world, it is tomorrow. What would be tomorrow to me? It's already August the 7th, so we can go ahead and start beginning to celebrate. It's been 14 and a half years since my last drink or drug at midnight for me. Thank you. Thank you. And let me tell you all, it's been 14 and a half years. For those of you right now on the other side of the world, it's been 14 and a half years since my last drink or drug. 14 and a half years ago, I became a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. So for those of you on the other side of the world, it's already August the 7th. And because it's already August the 7th, for you guys, it's already here. For me, I got to wait till midnight. But 14 and a half years ago, I went into outpatient treatment, and they then in turn led me to Alcoholics Anonymous. And today, the guy that you all say is pretty cool is the end result. It was AA that brought that guy here, because before that, I was not the nicest person. I was actually a very horrible person. It was all because of the sickness of alcoholism. But But to me, I mean, since YouTube allows us to go global, because of that, we can now start celebrating on the other side of the world. I still got to wait, but you guys can start celebrating for me. What's going on, filming? It's good to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. I just made the big announcement that it's been 14 and a half as of tomorrow for me, August the 7th. Not only do I turn 41, but it's 14 and a half years without a drink or a drug for me. I've been sober that long. Shoot, it's been so long. I wouldn't say that I have forgotten my last drunk. I remember that very well. And I remember my first drunk. But I will say it's been long enough that I don't remember the taste. And, things like that, 13 days. Oh, wow. Remind me again as we get closer, Mike. I'll have to do a video for you too. I'm going to be busy making videos, you know. So, it's been a long time. It's been a long time, since this all began. And, and for me, here I am, all this time later, still doing, the drill. And what I like to do with that 6 month marker, before the year, I like to reflect. I like to look back on the year, the six, from that year marker to the 6 month marker. So basically from February 7th to August the 7th, I like to reflect. This is just something that I do. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's one of my favorites. I actually have two of these, believe it or not. I have two of these shirts. So if you ever see, like, didn't you wear that shirt yesterday? No, I have two of these. I like these shirts. I like I have quite a few of these Punisher shirts where I have more than one. I have a couple of them, and I like it. It's one of my favorites. I actually like that, that Thomas Jane Punisher skull that was brought out when he did the movie. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But here we are now. We're talking. It's been 6 months since that 1 year marker. It's August the 7th, and it's time to reflect. What have I done? What have I done that that has stood out? Has stood out to that stands out to me. Well, and I sat down, I thought about it, and it's like, hey, hey, what have I done? And since this pandemic started, I have taken as much time as I possibly can to try and reach out to as many people as possible. It's one of those things that I've done as much as I can, through the pandemic to try to remind people to stay positive, and in that regard, I mean, I would like to think that I've done some good, even if it's just been for a select few. I'd like to think that I have done some good. I feel I've done some good. Made people think a little bit differently about, maybe if I've educated people on alcoholism, Pinky's is the third. I'm gonna have to do one for her too now. So many of you birthdays around. Evidently, this was a great time to have, to be born. Evidently, the winter was very cold, and everyone was bored. No one had television back then. No, so there's a lot of that. And real quick, if y'all wondering what I'm doing, I'm actually editing the footage from the drag races. So I'm actually running that through. So I think that we've done some good. You know, um, I think we've done a lot of good. I think we've done a lot of good. Um, Now I'll tell y'all right now that when this all began, I honestly didn't think I'd stay sober a week. I honestly didn't even think I'd stay sober that long. But that was the funny thing. I'll tell you, going back, thinking about it, going back in time, I remember tell y'all, there's still a giant mystery in my sobriety. It's still a giant mystery. And basically, I went to my first meeting, and y'all heard that story. And I can still point out the exact spot I was standing when I asked Sober Man to sponsor me. And now that I've said that, here's the irony of it. Okay. I still remember the exact spot that I asked Sober Man to sponsor me. But when I asked him to, yeah, you were telling me about that, Mike. Um, but now that I've said that, one of the greatest mysteries, one of them from my sobriety, was during that particular time that I asked Sober Man to sponsor me. Someone brought this booklet up. It was just a little booklet, and they said, we're taking down names and numbers of people, who could, in case, there someone needs help. And I said, well, I don't know if I would be of any help to anybody. I'm at this time, see, I got sober on a Tuesday, and this was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's about it was like the 10th, February the 10th. And I said, I honestly don't know if I would be of any help to anybody, but go ahead and ask. Go ahead and ask. Ask away, my friend. But I said, I don't know if I would be of any help, but, do you guys want my name and number? Name, phone number, and all that. They said, yeah, go ahead. Well, the story goes, nobody knows what happened to that book. To this day, nobody knows. I've asked, and I couldn't even tell you. Nobody knows what happened to that book. So that's one of the grand mysteries of my sobriety. Sober Man and I both signed that book. And as we were signing that book, that's when I asked him to sponsor me. So nobody knows what happened to that book. And Sober Man and I still, every once in a while, have you ever found out whatever happened to that book? Nope. Not a clue. Couldn't tell you. None of us know. I still don't know. That is a 14-and-a-half-year-old mystery, and I still don't know. You guys, it's like that book it grew legs and walked off. I mean, legit. It literally grew. It's like it grew legs and walked off. I couldn't tell you to this day, what happened to it. Not a clue. Not a freaking clue. Couldn't tell you. I'm still scratching my head on that one. So if anybody in AA in our area happens to know what happened to that booklet, please let me know. Maybe it did. That's a good question. Or maybe, as Queen Bee likes to always say, maybe it's behind the milk. I don't know. Oh, okay. Sponsorship is not what you think it is in Alcoholics Anonymous. The term sponsor is actually someone who teaches you the steps. You don't pay them a thing, okay? So if I sponsor somebody, I don't get paid for it, okay? You don't accept money, all right? That's just how it works. What the term sponsor basically is that's actually just kind of a generic term that they throw out there. What a better term would have been calling that person your spiritual advisor. So that money there is no money exchange between the two people. Um, that's just kind of how it works. Uh, in a way, if I sponsor somebody, which I have not sponsored a single person in, yeah, basically, well, they don't make you stay on track. What they do is they guide you through the steps. Recovery itself, the best way that I always put the term recovery is it is a personal journey that you don't go alone on. Okay? That's really the best way I could put it. Recovery is just the personal journey. You just don't go that personal journey alone. And that's where a sponsor comes in. But the first time we actually hear of a sponsor in the AA Big Book, they reference them as a spiritual advisor. And that's the first technical term used for the word sponsor. I don't know where that exactly came about, and I think it might have something to do from the book Dr. Bob and the Old Timers, which is AA literature, and it's good literature. I've read a great deal of it, but I will say right now that, which I own a copy, but it really what it is again, it's just. Okay, the answer to that is a big, fat, freaking yes. Soberman and I have talked about that, and we're working out the details how we're going to do it because he lives a very, very private life. Not that he has a problem with being on camera. It's just that he likes to keep his life pretty private for the most part. And he understands what I'm doing, even though he still kind of sometimes struggles with the ins and the outs of it and trying to, kind of, balance that all together. But on the other hand, he understands where I'm going with this. And we've had long conversations about this. But I've had the conversation. I said, you do realize that many people know who you are. They just don't know your real name. I said, but they know who you are. They know you as Soberman. I said, but I got that from one of your stories. He's like, well, yeah. He's like, he said, that's just been a running gag in my life. He said, but he said, that's pretty cool. He said that, that my words have carried on to other people through you. He said, because a lot of times, you are me a lot of the time. And I said, well, people are asking when you're going to make an appearance on Sober Talk. Many people want to hear you say the words. They want to hear your enthusiasm. They want to see your positive vibe on sobriety. And he's like, really? He's like, I never thought that many people would take, want to hear. He's like, I guess it makes sense, hear it from the source, hear the, he's like, but he said, I blame what I've got on my sponsor. I said, I know that. I said, but they want to hear where I got it from. They want to hear it from the source that gave it to me. What's going on, Kevin? We just got underway not that long ago. It's okay. But yes, we're working out the details. He doesn't want to be on camera. But what we're talking about doing is basically where I will actually have a conversation and record said conversation for all of you. So you can, and then in the middle of the live stream, play it back so you guys can hear what Soberman has to say word for word. Basically, things that, maybe him telling his story or something to that effect, because he has also lived a tragic life. If I remember correctly, I believe it was like the age of like 10. He was on the school playground playing tetherball. The tetherball came around and smacked him in the back of the head and gave him basically caused a blood clot, and he suffered a stroke. Well, you come to the right stream today. We're going to build you up. We're going to build you up, brother. And don't you forget that today is a good day to be above ground. Any day is a good day to be above ground. And don't you forget it. Why? Because, it beats pushing up daisies. No, we won't. We won't. It'll be recorded, but basically, in the middle of a live stream, I'll be pushing a button, and you guys will hear Sober Man's words uh, played through in the middle of the live stream. You know, so you guys will still be able to hear Sober Man in a live stream. It'll be recorded because that's kind of how he feels the most comfortable right now. Um, so yeah, we talked about it, and I said, "Would you be okay with that?" He said, "I would love to do that for you." He said, I would love to do that for your viewers too." He said, "You know," he said, "if I can help one person," and I said, "You will." I said, "You know, we're global now. You know, we're global now, Sober Man. You know, we're global now." And I said, "You know, a lot of people hear what, you know, they hear about me talk about the things that you have taught me. And, you know, I always know I'm about to learn something from him when he goes, 'Prince Magnum, my boy.'" And then, you know, then the words get real. It gets powerful, shakes you to the core, sort of thing. And I mean, it's powerful stuff, man. You know, and every once in a while, he'll tell me a story that just, you know, just shakes, you know, it feels like, you know, I can't put words to it. He's an amazing friend. And I will tell you all right now, when we started off, it was just sponsor, sponsee. That's how it started. Then he became my best friend. And now he's like a father to me. I look up to him as if he's my dad. Um, I do. I look up to Sober Man as if he is my father. My own dad and I don't even talk, but I look up to him as if he is my dad. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Sounds like you had a good. Sounds like you had a good supper. Yeah, it would be, but like I said, he's not quite comfortable with that just yet. And I have talked to him about that. I said sometime I would like to actually record us together or even do a live stream with us together. He said that would be interesting. He said, but I'm not quite ready yet. He said, but I would love to do it. I would love to do it. And he actually lives in Branson. So I would actually have to travel a little bit, but it's only a couple hours from here, really. I mean, well, actually, it's probably closer to 3, maybe 4 hours, but it'd be worth the drive because, um, actually, even go further, I even already have a hotel room. Basically, I get a hotel room reserved, and all I got to do is pay for the taxes. I've got the trip to Branson, 3 days, 3 nights. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. Yeah, a face would be nice, and I'll talk to him again about that. But first, I guess you could say for the starter, a good voice will, trust me, his voice is extremely powerful. I promise you. Every person that has ever met him, um, his voice, I mean, is just what he says is so powerful and moving. Um, and I know if he would be watching this right now, quit putting me on a pedestal, but what he says is the same thing that we all say in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's just the way that he does it is just moving. So if y'all wonder where, you know, right, when he's ready, I'll be ready, sort of thing. You know, because Sober Man, like I said, you know, I agree. Being able to record him and record what he has to say would be powerful and moving. And I know many of you would have a lot of questions for him. Number one, how the hell have you put up with Prince Magnum that long? That's true, Ian. That's very true. You're absolutely right. Um, you know, he was the one that also told me that he felt that I would be an amazing, uh, you know, in my sobriety, I would be an amazing storyteller. He did tell me that. He said, "I imagine you're going to be one hell of a storyteller, you know, in your sobriety, and I can't wait to see what that's like." And lo and behold, I listened to exactly what he had to say. And now, I'm, that's one of the things I love to do more than anything is go, be in front of people and telling stories about sobriety. For the record, Sober Man was the one that told me when you're doing a speaker meeting, he said, you tell just enough of your drunkalogue, what we call the drunkalogue. You tell just enough what it was like before, and you tell the main part of it that you want to talk about is what happened, but more importantly, you want to tell how you got this thing. That's the most important piece to the story. How you got this thing. He said, because the rest of it, the drunkalogue, he said, some people will go on and on and on about, what it was like before. He said, but I'll be honest with you. A lot of times, if they go on and on and on about what it was like before, a lot of times they're still there. So don't stay there. Stay with where you need to be, and that's keeping your feet firmly planted in sobriety. That's the most important thing, to let people know how you got this thing and how you lived through those experiences, those rough experiences, and you managed to stay sober through those experiences. That's one of the reasons why Oh, now, Ian, that is a really good question. My goodness. Ian, you're on it tonight, asking those. Thank you for asking that. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ian, you asked the right question. Okay. When we talk about alcoholism, a lot of people think about the compulsion to drink. Okay. I got my cup of coffee and, I'm always drinking coffee, but I can go to I can drink something different. I can drink water, soda, things like that. We think about that compulsion that when an alcoholic picks up a drink of, say, alcohol, this is coffee, obviously. Good coffee, too. We think about that, okay, but let me see if I can. We don't, not enough of. Thank you, Kevin. You're a good friend yourself. I wish there was more people like you in the world. But to answer your question, people don't talk about what goes on in here, okay? Between the ears of an alcoholic. We are very obsessive, okay? And we can get in our heads and get some crazy ideas, okay? And because of that, we kind of need someone that, even though they've led us through the steps, because we can get in our head and get in, those dangerous, crazy spots, we need that person who can help us keep our feet firmly planted on the ground. All right. So if you will, Sober Man, even though he's led me through the steps in my basic day-to-day life, from time to time, I will come up on a problem or something to that effect that I need someone to talk to. Now, I'm not saying Princess Faye isn't a good, strong person, that she won't listen or anything, but I need someone who has lived a lot of the same experiences I have, or at least knows someone who has lived those same drunken experiences or the same things in sobriety. So to be able to understand what I'm going through and be able to make a positive decision that's going to affect my life in a positive way, I still need that solid person to kind of bounce someone off of, kind of that sounding board, if you will, as we sometimes call it in Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, Sober Man, I'm kind of going through this. I don't know exactly what to do. what would you suggest? I don't ask for advice. Advice is for people. Let me say right now, advice, when people give you advice, tell them to piss off, okay? People who give advice, they did something and it went wrong, and misery loves company. Don't accept advice. What I accept is suggestions. Suggestions based on someone's own personal life experience, period. And that's what sponsors offer. They suggest you work the steps. I would love to help you with a raid down the road. Yes. Yes, I would love to help you with that. We got to get hooked up on Facebook. We got to get hooked up on Facebook sometime. But anyhow, so the best way I could describe it is because despite the years of sobriety and that I have, went through the steps and recovered from what we call a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, doesn't mean that I don't have some bad wiring, okay, going on between my ears. I've still got a lot of bad wiring that goes on between my ears, all right? Prince Magnum is still wired to self-destruct. Left to my own devices, I will self-destruct. That is why I still need a sponsor. And it works like that in Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, for those that are religious, I will also say this is kept kind of quiet, but it is fact. Even the Pope has a spiritual advisor. Even the Pope has a spiritual advisor. So think about that for a brief moment, okay? That's why we suggest in Alcoholics Anonymous that you always have a sponsor. Now, I have had different sponsors over the years. I have had different sponsors. There was Vic, there was Dave. Hell, there was two others that came after them. And none of them really, yes, I will always need a sponsor. I will always need a sponsor. Because as an alcoholic, I will always have that frame of mind, that sick thinking that goes with being an alcoholic. Okay. For the record, I have very little patience with actually, I'm very impatient and I'm very quick to anger, despite sometimes what you guys see. You would think. I think you're almost reading too far into it. You're almost reading too far into it, Ian. Okay. I would almost have to go to the book for this, but basically by your 10th step, you're kind of returning to that. Yeah, raging in a game. You guys have heard me do that. Okay. You've heard me rage in a game. Filth, flour and filth. Okay. You've heard me do it. Okay. But you're almost reading too far into it. By the time you get to your 10th step, at that point in time, what normal people would call just being normal would be us getting some sort of sanity back in our lives, okay? And that does not happen overnight. Just because you quit drinking doesn't mean you get your sanity back. One of the best ways we could describe alcohol, working the steps. If a person like me quit drinking, it doesn't clear up the nasty thinking. That's a lifetime process. Okay. If you will, as Bruce Lee would call it, continually, trying to achieve perfection in your life. So now that I've said that, patience and honesty and things that people take for granted as being a good person is sometimes still a struggle for many alcoholics for many years to come. Now, living in a normal day society, working the steps, I now have tools and, those things that help me kind of live in a day-to-day life that most normal people don't have at their disposal. So in essence, I will say by my 5th year of sobriety, around my 5th year of sobriety, by that time, I actually had an inside track over normal everyday people because of the continual practice of using the steps and the tools from Alcoholics Anonymous. But in a normal everyday society, it is still a struggle because people are assholes. Okay? So I can get unstable just like anybody else. In other words, even though I'm still alcoholic, and even though I've worked the steps and have many years underneath the belt now, does not mean that I don't get crazy from time to time, just like everybody else, but that's normal. In other words, in my cups, I'm abnormal. With a program behind me and, continually trying to work the steps, read the book, all those things. In essence, I can live a normal life, okay? I don't know if I'm explaining this properly, but basically through working the steps, I get to enjoy a normal life, but I've gained so much more working those steps. And a lot of psychiatrists and psychologists would almost refer to what has been done through AA as group therapy. That's what they would consider it, through the use of a support group. Interesting way of looking at it. But that's just what they would term it as. We just throw in a lot of, spiritual God stuff, and that just makes it a little easier. Almost puts like a, superstitious mumbo jumbo on it, but without the superstitious mumbo jumbo. Okay. Scientifically speaking, it shouldn't work, but it does. It works just fine. So what I'm really trying to say is, yes, I can still get unstable, but because of what I've been taught, I can at least, respond to a situation and not react. Before I was quick to react to a situation, which oftentimes led to insane results. Okay. Well said, Mike G. Woo, that does sound good. Ian, you asked the right question again. Man, you're on it tonight. You are truly, truly on it. Okay. Even though I'm sober, I am still an alcoholic. And let me explain it like this. If you take a cucumber, I'm going to have to now. If you take a cucumber and you turn it into a pickle, you cannot take that pickle and turn it back into a cucumber. Way it is. The difference between what I'm doing and one that is still drinking, if you will, they are a practicing alcoholic. I'm a sober alcoholic. That is the difference. The only difference between them and me is they're still drinking. I'm not. Okay? But the only way, if you will, drinking is just the symptom of the problem. Okay? That's just the symptom of the problem. It's everything else that goes on between my ears. We're back to that again. It's the head full of bad wiring that makes us alcoholic. Okay? It is not how much we drink or how often we drink. It's the head full of bad wiring and what happens every time we drink. Ask yourself this question. Does something bad have to happen every time I drink? And that usually helps you identify. you know. Um, every time I drank, not necessarily did anything have to happen while I was drinking. There you go. You know, not necessarily does it have to happen when I was drinking, but it happened usually as a result of my drinking. Something bad always had to happen. Lying, cheating, and stealing, man. That's the name of the game when you're in those cups, or you start hanging out with shady people and doing shady things. You start, it just, that's the world of alcoholism. It's not just, I drank and I did stupid shit. You know, um, I drank and in my cups I did stupid stuff and I felt guilty. And in order to escape my guilt, I started drinking again. You know, what happens between the ears? That's what truly makes you the alcoholic. AA has given this definition a little while back. And I remember hearing it for the first time, and I thought it was interesting. Let me throw this out, and then I'll let you guys kind of answer it, okay? Well, this is a hypothetical situation, but Alcoholics Anonymous, AA World Services, I should say, Alcoholics Anonymous World Service kind of gave this out, and it's been a very useful kind of analogy, if you will, or hypothetical situation, however you want to call it. But we'll take a guy who's 21 years old. He decides that he's old enough to drink, so he goes out and he says, I'm old enough to have a drink. I'm going to go out. I'm going to have a drink. That's funny. All right, where was I? All right, guy's 21. He says, I'm old enough to have a drink. I'm going to go out and have a drink. He goes out. He has he gets drunk and has an accident, and he loses one of his fingers. And he's like, well, I'm never going to do that again. And for the next 10 years, he does not drink. He's 31 now. He says, it's been enough time. I should be okay. I'm going to go out and have a drink. He goes out, he gets drunk, ends up in a car accident, and kills somebody. He now spends the next 10 years in prison for murder. He gets out of prison, and he says, man, it's been enough time. I should be okay. I'm going to go out and have a drink. He goes out, he gets drunk. This time, he accidentally stumbles out into the middle of a street and is hit by an oncoming car and is killed. Is this man an alcoholic? He's only been drunk 3 times in his life. Okay? But is he an alcoholic? And I'll let y'all think about this a moment. No? Okay. There's the first one. No? No? Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to surprise you all. By Alcoholics Anonymous standards, that man is an alcoholic. He is an alcoholic. It had nothing to do with the amount of times he was drinking. It's what happened every time he drank. Number one, he said he was going to go out and have a drink. Instead of having that one drink, you're getting ahead of me, Kevin. You're getting ahead of me. Instead of having that one drink, he had to get drunk. He had to get drunk. And every time he got drunk, something bad had to happen. something ridiculously bad had to happen. And in between the time, he's like, I'm never going to do that again. And he always ends up doing it again. He has that, he says, I'm going to have that one drink. And then he goes and gets drunk, and something bad has to happen. And in the end, alcohol did kill him. Oh, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. That was good though. You already seen it. So by Alcoholics Anonymous standards, that hypothetical man is an alcoholic because he had to get drunk every time. And something bad had to happen every time. And in the end, he still swore off alcohol. Okay, I'm not going to do that again. And then he ended up doing it again. Even though he was only drunk 3 times in his life. Something to think about. Okay. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that. There you go. See? So I know that's kind of hard. It's one of those things. It's almost like you're reading too far into it. You're reading too far into it. No, you're not. Okay. When you look at the story, and I basically explain that, it probably makes more sense now. So, that's just kind of a commonplace thing, that most people wouldn't think well, he's only been drunk 3 times in his life. Yeah, but here's what happened. So when you mix all of that together, and then you look at through the lens of Alcoholics Anonymous, yeah, the man's an alcoholic. However, he wouldn't be considered a true member of Alcoholics Anonymous until he said, I'm a member. Okay, you got a question for me. Okay. Okay. Now that's a good question. In Alcoholics Anonymous, we don't claim any one religion, race, denomination, sexual orientation, or anything like that. Okay, we don't claim any of that. But we do suggest that if you have a religious, to get with your preacher, pastor, rabbi, minister, whatever, okay, and talk to them. Get them to, to work with you. As a matter of fact, even AA even says that we even take cues from the religious types. Even though I go on about, the nasty things that honestly, I have not met any preacher, I have not met anyone in the religious faith that has anything bad to say about AA. We really don't have anything bad to say about, they don't have anything bad to say about AA. If anything, they want to work with Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, some religious types have this nasty habit of putting the cart before the horse. Oh, you got to save their soul. You can't save the soul if they're dead. Okay. Let's worry about one thing before you worry about the other. All right. Let's save the person first so you could save their soul. And they have the nasty habit of getting the cart before the horse. But a lot of times, us alcoholics, we do some really nasty things. And what's going on, Go Towns? Welcome to the live, my friend. We have some nasty things that go on in our life, and a lot of times we have to get with our preachers, pastors, ministers, someone from our, I guess you could say one of those religious figureheads from our faith. We've got to get with one of them and talk to them. Okay. Good to see you, Go Towns. I hope you're staying safe through this entire pandemic. Uh, and that's, as a matter of fact, there you go. As a matter of fact, that's actually a common thing that AA suggests that you, as you just said, Kevin, we actually suggest that if you have a religion, get with your, get with whoever it is, and they can even help too. Most of the time, a lot of those in the clergy, I get, we'll just kind of lump it all together. Those in the clergy usually know a great deal about AA. As a matter of fact, welcome back, Mike G. As a matter of fact, um, the one of the co-founders, Bill W. or Bill Wilson. William Wilson was his real name. It's actually a stock market broker, one of the original co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Uh, he actually he originally got sober in a group called the Oxford Group, okay, or the Oxford Movement. Now that movement is long since gone. There is some remainders of the Oxford movement in Alcoholics Anonymous, but that's a whole nother story. That if you, well, there will be plenty enough time to talk about it. But uh, Bill had to go to some, he had to go talk to some stock market brokers. You're right, right. And he was at this hotel, and he had two choices because he was getting antsy. He needed something to do, and he was kind of he was debating on waiting to watch a movie, or back then, a picture show, if you will. Tells you how dated the story is. But he was getting kind of antsy, and he decided that he just got kind of, in that, okay, I need to do something because that bar that was across the street is looking good. So he did go over to that bar. What he did, though, was he actually got asked for some nickels, and he went to a payphone. This, like I said, this is a dated story, and he started looking down a list of preachers, of priests, and he finally talked to a priest, and he said, I know this is going to sound strange, but I'm looking for an alcoholic to talk to. And they're like, what, and all of them were like, what, are you out of your mind? He's like, are you looking to get drunk? He said, no, I'm trying to stay sober. And through actually talking to one of these preachers, he ended up meeting who became the other co-founder, Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob, and when they met, he said, Bill, basically Dr. Bob basically said, I'll give you 5 minutes. And he said, because, I've been poked and prodded and operated on and everything else to get me to stop drinking, and I can't. And he said, so what can you do? He said, I'm not here to get you sober. I'm here for me to stay sober. And that was how it worked. Okay. So it was actually through a preacher that Bill and Dr. Bob met, and Alcoholics Anonymous was formed. Now, back to the Oxford group real quick. The Oxford group was one of the first attempts at what would become Alcoholics Anonymous. And the Oxford group got it. They did a couple of things wrong. Number one, they didn't stick to just one thing. That one thing that made them who they were, getting people sober. They started getting into dealing with psychiatric, and they got into politics and just bullshit like that. And before you knew it, the message was watered down. So the message was watered down. And the other thing that happened was they got on this whole spiritual purity bullshit. Okay. And better yet, when all of them were talking all, godly and, otherworldly, it was what became Alcoholics Anonymous that was in the corner telling dirty jokes. Okay. We were honest about it, and that seemed to work. So what the final nail in the coffin was is when Bill W. released the AA Big Book, what we know as the AA Big Book. When that was published, Alcoholics Anonymous and the Oxford Group split ties altogether. And the Oxford Group faded into history because they started, this whole spiritual purity thing. And the other thing that they were doing was they were trying to expand into other areas. And it's better to be really good at one thing than to be mediocre at a bunch of others. And that is exactly what killed the Oxford Group. For the record, even further back than that, there was another group called the Washingtonians, and they did the same stupid thing that the Oxford Group did, and it killed them too. So I think they were back in the 1800s, if I remember correctly. And they're just a footnote in history as well. Now, some works from the Oxford Group have lived on in through Alcoholics Anonymous. The 12 steps used to be the 6 steps of the Oxford Group. Bill, though, realizing that a smart alcoholic could skate through those steps, rewrote them with more detail, making them the 12 steps. But some of the actual initial, you could still see in the original 6 steps, you can still see a lot of it in our 12 steps, but it's still there. Along with that, there's another book that has lived on from the Oxford groups that is still, you can still get it through AA, and it's called Living Sober. And I have read a little bit of that book, and I'll be absolutely honest with you, there's a little bit that's useful, a little bit that is actually useful. Like what to do if you're at a party and there's drinking going on, things that you could do to help you stay sober. And some people are diehards about this. If you are not married or in a relationship when you get sober, they suggest that you do not get involved in a relationship for up to a year after you get sober. So no dating, no settling down, putting up the white picket fence, all of that stuff for the first year of your sobriety. And some people who still sponsor to this day, there are still some old timers that they actually do live by that. They're like, that's what my sponsor told me, so that's what I'm going to tell you. Sober man did not tell me to do that. And believe me, I had a few relationships before my 1 year. Okay. And one of those actually lasted about a year and a half. And from that relationship, I've got my third child, my 12-year-old son, Devin. Okay. So again, we're now at, where there's different ways to sponsor people too, but it all eventually goes back to the original 2 members of Alcoholics Anonymous. Just something to take in. So that was the Oxford group. They're just a footnote in AA's history. Yeah. So now you even heard a little bit of AA history. In 1935, June 1935 is AA. I forget the exact day, but I know June 1935 is AA's birthday. Alcoholics Anonymous has been around since June 1935. So that's that if you enjoy that, yeah. That's a long time we've been doing this. Now, Ian, you've been asking some really awesome questions tonight, man. Blowing my mind, asking all them right questions. And I almost wondered if you wrote these down and thought these out. because you've been asking some really awesome questions tonight, brother. But yes, and if you're ever wondering, you know what? Uh, in AA, we oftentimes joke about that whole thing. And you guys have heard me tell the jokes, and I got to write these down. Soberman sent these to me, but let me tell you all that you might get a big kick out of this. The word relationship is actually an AA acronym. Okay. Really exciting love affair turns into outrageous nightmare. Sobriety hangs in peril. Yeah, that's a big one. Nuts, not using the steps. Slip, sobriety loses its priority. Sponsor, sober person offering newcomers suggestions on recovery. These are ones that Sober Man pounded into my head. Yeah. Let's see. There was one for frog. Fear. Well, you know, maybe you're meant to be single right now to discover yourself. I will tell you that I enjoy married life. I do enjoy married life. I have a lot of fun in married life. And time with Princess Faye has just been exciting. You know, yeah, we've had our moments. Woo, buddy. We've had our moments where we didn't think we were going to be able to get along together, and almost it was considering being apart. But I'll tell you right now, I can't imagine life without her. You know, I love married life, and married life and sobriety is a lot of fun. My wife has never seen me drunk, and I am grateful. Mikey G, if you were here, I'd probably find you a nice gal to have some, you know, to go hang out with and have some fun with. If you were here in this area, I know I could find you a gal that you two would probably hit it off just fine. That's where I'm, you know, I know a lot of, you know, and again, if you're, you know, I'm going to again announce this. Oh, my wife is a one of a kind. She's an amazing woman. You know, she's one of the great blessings in my life, you know. Mm. You know, she's one of the greatest blessings. Yep. Well, you two brought you two together. That's amazing. You know, believe it or not, I met Princess Faye playing World of Warcraft. That was how we met. Um, Funny thing, Ian, you're gonna love this story. I was with a gal that was before Princess Faye, and I was actually engaged. Um, and uh, yeah, playing World of Warcraft. And she was the one that turned me on to World of Warcraft. And of all the things, well, I haven't played World of Warcraft in a long time. Just kind of lost the flavor for it. And I'll actually tell that here in just a bit. But I met her playing World of Warcraft, and it was actually, like I said, an ex that introduced me to the game. We were actually engaged. Met her at my job, and even talked about her a few times. Lady Katrina, you guys remember me talking about her a few times. Well, one night, of all the things, uh, it was during what would have been it was during October, which in we always think of Oktoberfest. Okay, well in World of Warcraft they call it Brewfest. Okay, and um, my Okay, I'll let you know. So I started, I wanted to do this one particular dungeon and against a guy called Dire Brew or something like that. And of course, there was an achievement for it. And I was in a guild called Squidalicious. True story. And my character, yeah, Brewfest is the name of it. And I wanted to take this guy down. Okay. I wanted to take this guy down. I wanted the achievement. Well, everybody in my guild had already done it. And I worked the evening shift. So by the time I got on, everybody was going to bed. I was like, you motherfuckers. And so nobody wanted to do it. So nobody wanted to do it. You motherfuckers. So I got pissed off about it. So I went into what is known as general chat. And you had to be in one of the major cities to get into it. Well, I got into general chat and I said, rogue looking for group, uh, you know, looking for group. Well, no one answered. And I thought, okay, I'll just wait. Well, someone then comes in, and the character's name was Fire. And it was Fiire. Okay. Later on, that character's name would be changed to Mitten, Mytten. True story that I know this. Um, so basically, this character named Fire said, looking for DPS for group. I whispered, said, I'm a DPS rogue. And my rogue's name was Dark Magnum. And said, yeah, we'll take you on. We'll take you on. We'll go do this. Went to the location, went into the dungeon, sat down, got all our buffs on, and then started the boss fight. Tank pulled, amazing tank. DPS solid, but we just did not have the gear. Okay. We weren't geared enough. So it was a battle from hell. And we took a beating, went down. Okay, let's do it again. Let's try again. We tried 5 times. And it was getting late because now it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. The next morning I had to be in St. Louis. I had to be in St. Louis for for my very first time at area assembly for Eastern Area Assembly. Forgot what panel that was now. Which you guys have heard me talk about that trip. Well, in the process of that, we're like, hey, we're just not geared enough for this. We gave it a shot. It's just one of them things. So I said, well, that's okay. So we were ready to disband the pug group. We were ready to disband. And, we were just kind of talking. I said, well, that's okay. Hey, to me, if you tried, but you still didn't succeed, you didn't fail. You just didn't succeed. There's no such thing as failure if you try. I've never played it. So now that I've said that, I turn around and said, well, that's okay. Everyone's like, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I said, well, that, it's okay. I do need to leave the group because I've got a function with Alcoholics Anonymous tomorrow. And the character that was called Fire later on became Mitten said, at the rate my life is going, I could easily see myself becoming an alcoholic. And I immediately typed into the chat, give me 5 minutes of your time. For the record, the person I said, give me 5 minutes of your time, became my wife. That's how it began. I met Princess Faye. That was the night I met Princess Faye online. And I said, just give me 5 minutes of your time. So in essence, she's still giving me 5 minutes of her time. The longest 5 minutes that anyone has ever given anybody. Or at least to my knowledge in my lifetime, you know. So that's how it all began. And I was just getting ready to go to an AA function the next day. So if you guys were ever wondering about that. Yeah, it's starting to get dark. I'm scared of the dark. Somebody hold me. So if y'all were ever wondering about that story, but yeah, I had just said, hey, give me, at the rate I'm going, yep, that's how it went. So if you're ever wondering about that, yep, true story. So Queen, you got to hear the story. I don't know if you've ever heard that story, but yep. We've been married over 6 years now. Been married over 6 years. And Princess Faye has gotten to watch me do some pretty neat things. True story. When I got elected as the alternate DCM for the district here, I went in front of I was at Eastern Area Assembly for my first time in years. And I started, doing what I do, telling. No, remember? Okay. Some stories are worth telling over again. But yeah, all the paws are in the house. No one joined me outside. I think everyone's favorite little kitten is roaming around here someplace. And yes, I promise somewhere in this before I take Tuesday off, I know somewhere in here I'm probably gonna go ahead and what's going on, Harold? I've been checking out what you've been working on. But real quick, I'll tell you all. Princess Faye watched me get up, and it was like 270 something other alcoholics in recovery, and we had a topic. Just rolling through. That's good. It's good to see you, Harold. You been doing okay and everything? Been wondering how you've been doing. I got to send you some stuff, by the way. I got some stuff to send you. I got to get into my email on my computer and send you some stuff. But in essence, Princess Faye watched me stand in front of all those people. And you guys have heard me tell this story. And when she's seen people just kind of jump to their feet and high five and handshakes, big hugs and things like that. Good to hear. Good to hear that you're doing good. When Princess Faye, seen that, she, her response was, it's nothing I haven't gotten used to seeing, and later on she told me, I just want you to know how proud of you I really was, that is my husband who was standing in front of all those people saying all these wonderful things. And for me as a husband, that made me very proud. It made me feel very good. And it made me feel special, at least in the eyes of my wife. To me, that was probably the most important moment in my sobriety because my wife got to watch me, her husband, Prince Magnum, say some things that to this day, there are still people that occasionally come up and say, I was there that day that you said this. And it was huge. And, I had people coming up, like, man, matter of fact, during our lunch hour, when we went and had lunch, people were like, hey, guys, come on, you two, come over here. Come over here. We want to hear what you got to say. And we'd sit down with these people and they would be like, man, what you said, really, just rah, rah. Yeah, it's like, no, man, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was good. It was positive, so it was all good, and my wife got to see it. And I was just, one of the biggest speaker meetings I was ever at, Princess Faye was there. She sat in the back and, it was still powerful. It was positive. And she said, when you do those sort of things, it just makes me feel very proud to be your wife. And that's huge for me. That's big. It goes deep. And, it's important. I still want my wife's approval. I don't have to have it, but I want it, and that all or nothing attitude of us alcoholics. So I will tell you all right now that I'm very grateful that my wife is, when I'm very grateful when she says, I'm proud to be your wife or something to that effect. It makes me feel very good. It's important to me. And the fact that I care about what my wife thinks about me is just, it reinforces that I care, that I love her, that I care about her, that she's important to me. And that comes through the positive effects that Alcoholics Anonymous has on me, so that's deep, so, that's just, that's powerful to me. For the record, you all have heard the story about Tanya. And for the record, most people don't know this, but if anybody ever says to Princess Faye, usually it's a woman that always does it. There you go. Let me say right now, Princess Faye absolutely hates it when anyone tells her, I think Tanya sent you to take care of Prince Magnum. She actually gets upset about that. No woman sent me to take care. I did that on my own accord. Yes, I know, dear. I know. She does get upset about it. And of course, we've all heard the story about Tanya, maybe tomorrow, for tomorrow's evening stream, I might tell, some stories. Maybe it'll be story time with Prince Magnum, if that's what you guys want. Because we're slowly getting to that time frame where we do need to, we're slowly getting there. So input. Would you guys like a birthday live stream of just maybe some of the, because she feels like it was her decision, that nobody made her do anything, that sort of thing. And I mean, I could understand that. Hi, Galaxy. What is little Galaxy doing? Your public wants to see you. Love you too, Kevin. You go rest well, okay, buddy? Or if Princess Faye does get home soon enough, we will definitely do a makeup live stream if she gets home soon enough. Okay? But that's if she gets home in time. Galaxy, your public loves you. Oh, I know, I'm pissing you off. She's got this look that says, just why? Why are you doing this to me, human? Yep. She's beautiful. Hmm. Oh, I know. I'm pissing you off right now. I'll let you go in a second. Your public wants to see you. They want to see your beautiful face. Yeah. She doesn't like all that cuddly stuff. Only on her terms. Right? You are a beautiful cat. You're a very beautiful cat. Actually, they do not get along. Zelda and Galaxy do not get along. But Tabor has taken it upon himself. He has actually been keeping an eye on Galaxy. Well, not on Galaxy, but on Zelda. They're getting to where she follows Tabor everywhere, and he's almost turned into Papa Cat. He's turned into Papa Cat. Not a joke. And he just follow it. Uh, I've even caught him now grooming her. Zelda's doing good. I just seen her a little while ago. She's been hiding a little bit today. Of course, she had the zoomies earlier today when I got home. Um, you know, the public still wants to see you, Galaxy. Yeah, Tabor's actually he grooms her, but it's when she gets a little out of hand, she'll play with him. But if she gets out of hand, you'll hear him hiss at her and she scampers off in a hurry. Like, I will thump you a good one. Here's how yeah. He plays with her a little bit. He plays with her a little bit. But mostly it's on her term, on his terms. Because, he's an older cat. I don't think you want to see Galaxy's teeth. Oh my goodness. Yep. But yeah, Tabor's turned into Papa Cat. Don't let him fool you. He's Papa Cat. She is not a very big cat, really. Oh, I know. You're pissing you off. Galaxy's a girl. She's a girl. Tabor's our boy, and Zelda is our cute little female kitten. She's our cute little girl. I know somewhere in some during this time off, we're gonna have to stream Zelda because oh my gosh, the last time we streamed Zelda, oh buddy, yeah, they argue like it too, like two females, two sassy little bitches. They argue like it too. You all happy now? She's purring. She's sitting in my lap purring as I'm scratching her under the chin. She just doesn't like being held like that. So, you guys want to see her cute face? Yeah. No, I'm still having some problems with the OBS yet on my computer, but that's to be expected. It's an older computer. I'm going to have the graphics card looked at it. You know, there's going to have to be someone who knows and who's in charge. It depends on the day, really. Mm. All right, go times. It's good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you being here. You know, I love that guy. Love that guy. I don't think I've ever heard him even be crossing anybody either. Oh, Zelda's just something else. Zelda is just Zelda, you know? Yeah. Yeah, they argue. Um, which I know y'all enjoy Zelda. Oh my gosh. That is pure cuteness. I know when I was showing her off, poor Harrison was like, "Oh my God, the cuteness! I can't take it. I can't even look away." That's the whole point. That's why we did it. Oh God, is there at times? Oh my God, they stay away from each other though. Every once in a while though, Galaxy will just flat out chase her down and pounce on her, and Zelda does not like that. She gets really mad about that. But Galaxy's trying to assert her dominance, So they do argue a lot. It's like, will you two frickin' stop? I'm gonna kick both your asses. But not like that one guy who beats cats. Anyhow, that's another subject. Don't beat cats. Anyhow. Yeah. You know, it's like a song title that's waiting to happen. Be an internet sensation. Maybe that's what Harold and I should work on, right? Working on the lyrics for a song that says about not beating cats. But anyhow, something's so wrong with me getting back at that guy. He was a mess. Anyhow, I forgive him for being, for being an asshole, but the rest of it, it's going to take some time. But I got nothing but time, nothing but borrowed time, you know. Um, and that's the beauty of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's taught me that I can forgive people, even though some people are like, well, they don't deserve any forgiveness for what they've done. Everybody does. Everybody deserves a second chance at life, no matter who you are. Just because I might have a beef with them doesn't mean the rest of the world does. Has to. They can forgive him. My beef will eventually go away too. I'll get over it. I got mad. I can get glad. you know, um, just how I look at it. It's going to take me some time to get to the point where I can completely forgive that guy for some of the things he said and did. You know, um, which sometime I actually every once in a while he'll still send me something. And it's like, dude, why do I even want to talk to you? You're not even in the same playing field as me when it comes to being a decent human being. You're not a decent human being. There's not enough medication to make you a decent human. Queen, I love you. You're a great, great person. And again, we talked about a lot of stuff here in Sober Talk. And again, I want to remind you all that for all of you that have been here today, that you guys are part of my story. You're part of my story. And I tell my story once a week. I tell some part of my story or some bit of knowledge about AA once a week. And you guys are part of that now. You guys are a deep part of that. And because you guys have been a deep part of that now, means that, you're part of the story. You're part of helping people. So if you've ever struggled with that aspect of your life where you're like, am I worth something? Am I worth something to somebody? That sort of thing. You struggling with that whole thing. Struggle no more. You are important. You are special. You are helping people. You may never see their faces, but just know that you're helping people. You are special. You are important. So if you've ever wondered about that, you are important. This day and age, we hear about, essential workers, essential workers. You are essential to saving lives just by being part of a story. So if you've ever wondered about that, wonder no more. You are essential. In Prince Magnum's world, the higher power of his understanding, you are essential. My higher power does not make junk. You all have touched my lives. You've touched my life, and you've touched the thousands of lives that I continually try to touch. Mike G, you're absolutely wrong. You are essential. You are of help. You are here tonight helping me celebrate 14 and a half years of continuous sobriety. You've helped me stay sober. You shared your story with me, and you've helped me by sharing that story. You have been a friend to me. When I oftentimes ask myself, how in the world was I the one who was blessed when so many other people out there haven't found sobriety yet, will die drunk? Why was I blessed? And you're part of that story now that helps me understand why I was one of those ones that was blessed. And through that, you helped me stay sober. So how in the world are you no help to anybody when you help me? And through me, I try to reach out and help as many people as possible stay sober. So how are you of no help to anybody? You're wrong. You are help to countless people. You are of help to. Don't ask how, just know that it exists. Just know that it exists. I could try to explain it all day long and I wouldn't do it justice. You are important. You're important to me, and you're important to several other people, whether you know it or not. Without a question, Mike G, you are important. You are of help. You're very special to this guy right here. You're one of the many people that I've grown to the point where it's like, I need this guy part of my life too. I'm a selfish alcoholic still. I need every last one of you. Just, I need you too, Mike. I need you too. And don't you forget it. I need you too. That goes for all of you. I need you too. All of you. Even if you're watching the playback, I need you too as well. I'm still a selfish alcoholic. It's still about saving my own life today. Not only do I need the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, but I need all of you in the YouTube community to continue to support me as well. I am that selfish. But it's all about saving my life, even if it's just one more 24 hours. And thankfully, I have enough 24 hours behind me to say that I have 14 and a half years. Wee Hun, welcome to the live stream. We're slowly getting ready to wind it down for the evening. Been talking about sobriety. Every Thursday night we talk about sobriety. And, it's all about staying sober. And as of midnight tonight, not only is it my birthday tomorrow, I did not plan this, but as of midnight tonight, I will also not only be celebrating just 41 years of existence on this earth. But I will also be celebrating 14 and a half years of continuous sobriety in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I am very grateful to be alive and to be sober today. So thank you for coming to the live stream. And thank you for being a part of my sobriety. You know, I'm very grateful that people are a part of my sobriety. So thank you for coming to the live stream, and thank you for joining us in this celebration of life. You know, a sober life. Thank you for joining us, even if you're here a short period of time. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. You know, it's all about today, about reaching out to those who are still struggling with trying to find sobriety. And sometimes now we also reach out and try to help people who have loved ones who are struggling to find sobriety, reaching out to them so they can understand what their loved ones are going through. And those loved ones could be friends, they could be family, even in some horrible cases, our own children. I know from my mother, she loves to remind me that she's very proud that her son is sober today. As a matter of fact, earlier this year, we had to bury my grandmother, and she watched her oldest grandson stay sober for 14 years. And the day I was celebrating 14 years of continuous sobriety, we buried my grandmother. It was hard. But my grandmother passed away seeing her oldest grandson stay sober for 14 years. So when I said goodbye to my grandmother for the last time, I was celebrating 14 years sober. And my mom was like, of all the days we have to bury your grandmother, it's on your 14th year, celebrating 14 years of sobriety. She's like, son, this has got to, are you okay? And I said, Mom, it's a blessing in disguise, whether you know it or not. Grandma got to watch me make 14 years. Be honest with you guys, it was hard. You know, it was a bit of a struggle. It hurt to have to say goodbye to grandma on 14 years of sobriety, but it was a bittersweet blessing, I guess you could say. You know, it was a bittersweet blessing. And now that I'm thinking about it, when my mom got remarried to my stepdad, my mom had my brother, I'm all my mother's children and my father's children. I'm the oldest. And the brother that came after me, she had him and I give her away when she was remarried. And very proud of that moment. Very proud of that. But in all of that, you guys might find this kind of exciting. I don't know, you might. My mom, you know, when we were talking about, you know, the wedding and everything, when my mom and I were talking about that, you know, at my grandmother's, my grandma, with all, you know, all of us grandkids sitting around, she's like, she just had her, you know, knee surgery. Both of her knees were replaced. And she says, I want to dance at the wedding. I want to dance at the wedding reception. And, you know, well, okay, grandma, dance at the wedding. And she said, well, your grandpa doesn't dance, but I want to dance at the wedding. Being the grandson that I am and being in sobriety, I said, Grandma, you want to dance at the wedding? She said, yeah. I said, well, Grandma, I will admit I'm not the greatest dancer in the world, but I can slow dance. I can slow dance like nobody's business. If you want to dance at the wedding, would you like me to dance with you? And grandma said, "You would dance with your grandmother at the wedding?" And at that time, I was becoming a single guy again, because Lady Katrina and I were not going to work out. And I said, "Yeah." She said, "With all, she's like, you know, you would dance with your grandma at the wedding reception?" "Yeah, grandma, big fun." I said, "If you want to dance at the wedding reception, I'll dance with you. If you don't mind dancing with your oldest grandson." And she said, "I would love to dance with my handsome grandson." And I said, "All right, then, it's a date. I'll dance with you at the wedding reception." It said, "As soon as we get a couple slow songs, I'll dance with you at the wedding reception." True to my word, and I was dead set on it. There I was, my tuxedo, nice looking hat, that big wide brim hat that I wear with all my suits. Put it on. There at the wedding reception. There's pictures. I'll see if mom will send me a couple. If Mama Magnum will send me a couple of those pictures, I'll get them and post them to the Discord. But I forgot what song it was now. Couldn't tell you. Slow song comes on, and I'm like, "Oh, shoot. First slow song of the night." And I jumped up and ran over. I said, "Grandma, there's a slow song. Do you want to go dance?" And grandma's like, "You want to dance? Is there a slow song?" "Yes, grandma." And she's like, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Come on, grandma." Well, then my aunts got involved. And they're like, "Come on, mama, go dance with Prince Magnum." Okay. And she looks at my grandpa, and he's like, "Go, honey, go dance." He's like, "Please go have a good time." And she's like, "Okay." We get up, we go out onto the floor, and I dance with my grandmother. And she put her head on my shoulder and she said, "This is the sweetest thing that a grandmother could ask from any of her grandchildren." And everybody and their brother runs out and starts taking pictures. I mean, everybody started taking pictures. The camera flashes were on. My mother stopped, being the center of attention, grabs a camera and runs out to get pictures of her oldest son dancing with her mom. And I danced twice with my grandmother that night. And no, he can, but he doesn't like to. There's kind of like this old macho thing that men don't dance. And he kind of fell into that category, and he, and that didn't go away till later on. There was kind of like this old thought process, that yeah. So he didn't. So that he didn't like the attention. My grandpa was a very Grandpa Magnum did not. He's one of those. Yeah, he didn't like that kind of attention. But my grandma loved to cut a rug, if you will. So I got out there on the dance floor and danced with Grandma Magnum, and we had a good time. And I danced with her twice during the reception. And after I took my grandma back to her seat, and Grandpa Magnum looks up and says, "Thank you for dancing with your grandmother. Thank you. That was very sweet of you." My mom, Mama Magnum, comes up, puts her arm around me, and said, "That was the sweetest thing you could have done, son." And she said, "Thank you for dancing with your grandmother. It was very sweet of you." And many people came up and said, "That was the sweetest thing you have ever done, Prince Magnum, that I could have ever have imagined you took your grandmother out and you danced with her. And I said, I promised her I would. I don't see what, sober man said, thank goodness you're sober to be able to give that to your grandmother. That you were able to give that to your grandma Magnum, that was very sweet of you. And he said, thank goodness you're sober. This will be one of those stories that you two will share for the rest of her life. And you'll be telling it long after she's gone. And we were actually talking about that at the funeral. There was a few of the pictures that were showed, and that was one of them. And everyone's like, oh my God, the wedding reception where Prince Magnum got out there with Grandma Magnum and was dancing. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. And I think about that. She put her head on my shoulder and said, this is the sweetest thing that a grandma could ask from any of her grandchildren. I'm choking back tears myself. And I got to do that in sobriety. Grandma Magnum, I got to dance with her. And she would oftentimes say, my oldest grandson took me out on the dance floor and danced with me. My oldest grandson. She's like, she would tell everybody. She would all the way up until her passing. She would tell everybody, my oldest grandson took me out onto the dance floor and he danced with me. He slow danced with me. I got to dance at my daughter's wedding reception. It was my oldest grandson that took me out on the dance floor. And when she passed away, we talked about that. And the pictures were actually showed, and they're like, my goodness, Prince Magnum dancing with his grandmother at his mom's wedding reception. That was one of the stories that came out. And my grandpa, when he would walk up to her casket, he would say things like, I miss you, sweetie pie. I just so miss you. I can't believe you're gone. And I would sit down with Grandpa and say, there was so many things so many wonderful stories with Grandma. I said, I will. And I said, one of my favorite stories to talk about it was the wedding reception. He said, you danced with your grandmother. He said, you danced with my sweetheart and you made her day. My grandson danced with my sweetheart, married something like 60 years, and made her day at the wedding reception. He said, I'll never forget that story. He said, I loved your grandma. I loved her very much. And, it was wonderful. My grandmother, just an amazing, amazing woman. And I do miss her. But yeah, when I took her out the second time, my mom, you should have seen Mama Magnum. She came out there, she's like, that is so sweet of you. She's like, we should have took your grandmother out there more on the dance floor, got her cutting a rug with us, like she would have when she was younger. Said, but we didn't think. But she said, of all the things. Yeah. I do have one grandmother that's still alive, and you guys are going to be shocked. That grandmother's 96 years old. Which I got to give that grandma a call and see how she's doing. That grandma, I'm telling you right now, that woman is tough. I told her, I said, Grandma, that Grandma Magnum is still alive and kicking. 96 years old, and she's not slowing down much. I mean, she's got to get around with a walker, and she's starting to get where she has to use a wheelchair. Yeah. So when my mom called at work, this is the story. It was like a Saturday. It was like on a Saturday. So the store managers and a couple of the assistant store managers were there, and I get the phone call, and assistant store manager Pete hollers out, "Prince Magnum, you got a phone call." Yeah, yeah, no joke. He said, "You have a phone call." I said, "I got a phone call." I said, "Oh man, all right." And so I did, I knew it was important at that point. Well, no, he says, "Your mom is calling." I said, "Oh, you'll be right back." Okay. He says, "Your mom is calling." I said, "My mom?" Oh shit, this is serious. So I went back, took the phone. "What's up, mom?" And she says, "I have bad news, son. Your grandma passed away." Now, automatically, it's like both of my grandmothers are still alive. Well, both of my grandmothers up to this point were still alive. So I had to, okay, which one, mom? I said, you know, my mom. That grandma passed. And I'm like, oh, shoot, what happened? Because, the other one, it'd be old age. And I'll be honest with you, my 96-year-old grandma, that woman is too dang tough. Death's gonna have to sneak up on her in her sleep. Because if not, Death's gonna get his ass kicked. Period. That grandma's just too dang tough. Which I'll have to tell you a funny story. I said, okay, what happened? She passed away in her sleep. She just went real quiet. I'm like, oh God. So I said, okay, do we know when the funeral is? No, not yet. We go and talk to the funeral home today. Son, I can't believe your grandma's gone. I said, I know, Mom. How's Grandpa taking it? He's holding up. So, okay. And up to this point, we were talking about, my 14 years of sobriety. You're back? Okay. So when I went up and Pete's like, what happened? He said, because I know you don't get phone calls unless it's important. I said, Pete, my grandma passed. And Pete and I are friendly to each other. We don't always see eye to eye, but I would say we're decent enough as friends at work, even though he's my assistant manager. He puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, Prince Magnum, I'm sorry. He said, do you need a moment? You're going to be okay if you need to take a minute. Oh, got to check on mom. And he says, do you need a moment? I said, I think right now I'm in shock. I think I'm okay. I'd like to go ahead and keep working. He said, okay. If you need anything, just say something. And, I think at that moment, we kind of got over a lot of BS at that point. We didn't, like I said, we didn't see eye to eye. So we got over a lot of BS at that moment. So in a lot of ways, my grandmother actually brought two people who didn't see eye to eye together. And, again, we're back to those hidden blessings. And then I told, my store manager, Jen, and she's like, I'm sorry. Do you know when the funeral is? No, I don't. I said, I'll know probably by Monday. You tell me, we're going to get you those days off. Okay. You make sure that I know. Okay. Okay, Jen. And as soon as I had the days, immediately marked me off the schedule. She said, you go be with your family. We'll see you when you get back. And I looked at her and said, do you know what Do you know what this day is? She said, no. It's 14 years sober. Jen puts her arm around me and said, don't you start drinking on us. She said, I don't know what you were like before you got sober, but I like who you are now. So don't you start drinking on us. And that was hard. That was hard. For the record, Princess Faye got to experience a family tradition. Most people don't know this. When they go to bury someone, they have to remove the flowers from the casket, from the top of the casket before they lower them down. The reason being is as the flowers decay, they'll rust through the casket. So you can't leave them on there. Well, in this particular case, we had to remove the flower. The family knows this. This is kind of just common knowledge nowadays. And we know this, so it has become a tradition on both sides of my family that the husbands have to go and remove a flower from the casket and present it to their wife as a I'm sorry. And part of that is I had to go over and remove a flower from my grandmother's casket, and I had to present it to Princess Faye and say, I'm sorry. Even though she's, Princess Faye's married into my family, my Grandma Magnum always said, you are part of this family now. You are one of us. You are one of my grandchildren. And I will accept nothing less. She said, you are one of us now, sweetheart. She said, you are one of my grandchildren. She said so. And so at that point, when I presented Princess Faye with one of the roses from my grandmother's casket, I had to look at her and say, I am sorry. And that's part of family tradition. Now, along with that family tradition, it is also part of the men's responsibility to present the women in the family. Chairman, I didn't even know you were in here. Well, good night to you, and rest well, my friend. But we have to present them to the women that are not married. So I actually had nieces that I had to, nieces and second cousins and things like that. I had to go up to them with a rose from from my grandmother's casket and say, I'm sorry to them too. It was my responsibility as one of the grandchildren, or if my uncle would have still been alive, it would have been part of his responsibility to as one of the sons. So I did have a cousin that I almost punched because he just stood there, and being a married man, he did not present his wife with a rose. I'm like, get over here. He didn't think, and it's part of the family tradition. So I had to go and I'm sorry. And I had to tell him, I said, it is tradition for a reason. It's part of your responsibility as a husband now. So when we lose someone in the family, you have to take a rose from the casket and present it to your wife and say, I'm sorry for your loss. It's your responsibility as a husband. I said, I shouldn't have to do your responsibility. Man up. So yeah, I actually did lose it for a brief second at my grandmother's funeral. I did lose it for a brief second. I pulled him aside and reminded him his responsibility as a husband. Things you got to teach, evidently. And that is a tradition. I believe that's a very old tradition, but that is a tradition. Yeah. So Princess Faye got to be privy to, I believe it was the first time in our family that she got to see one of those. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Devil Dog? It's good to see you, buddy. We're actually slowly getting ready to wind it down. I was just telling some stories about, yeah, I need to go eat something. Getting ready to wind it down for the night. Getting ready to, we were just talking about the losing my grandmother earlier this year, and how I got through that as part of my sobriety. As of midnight tonight, it will be 14 and a half years without a drink or a drug. And along with that, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to be 41 tomorrow. 41! Oh my God, I'm getting old on y'all. I'm getting to be an old man. It's okay though. It's okay. How do you get old? By living life. And I'm okay with that. All righty. It is that time. Again, thank you all for being here with me, and thank you all for sharing my sobriety, being a part of my sobriety and sharing it with me. You guys are amazing. Every last one of you. You guys are amazing. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. But that brings us to a good stopping point. Oh, you still lurky turkey? Well, we're going to have a big birthday celebration tomorrow. One of my customers from work gave me a gift card to go to Applebee's, and it was a big gift card. So Princess Faye and I are going to go to Applebee's tomorrow, and we're just going to pig out, And along with that, since we're going to Applebee's over in Farmington, we're going to stream the drive up so you guys can ride along with us in Project Spirit. You guys are going with us on the drive to Applebee's, okay? After that, it's just going to be time with Princess Faye. We will live stream. Thank you, Devil Dog. We are going to live stream later on tomorrow. Depending on when Princess Faye gets out, it might be a makeup. We can sit in. Their lobby is open. So we will be dining in. Now that I've said that, let me also say that along with tomorrow, we will, Princess Faye is going to be holding on very tightly to you all. Now that I've said all of that, along with tomorrow, if Princess Faye gets out early enough and if she's feeling up to it, Freaky Friday is on the menu for tomorrow. Freaky Friday. And if you're not familiar with Freaky Friday, that is where the beautiful, gorgeous Princess Faye Rue. That is where the beautiful, gorgeous Princess Faye Rue will slather me up in makeup. Oh, you're lagging? Okay. We'll wait a second. Okay. That is where Princess Faye audio isn't matching. Yeah, I figured that might be the case. But Freaky Friday is on for tomorrow if Princess Faye gives the green light. And that is, if you're not familiar with Freaky Friday or Sexy Saturday, that is where Princess Faye slathers me up in drag makeup and I turn into the character Cinnamon for the rest of the live stream. It's a lot of fun. It just gives me a chance to do some acting. It's good, fun entertainment for adults. But along with that, it's a chance for Princess Faye to show off her amazing artistic abilities. So that is if she's feeling up to it. So it'd be a great birthday stream, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm probably going to practically just about do a marathon stream. We're just going to have as much fun as possible. It's going to be a big happy, yeah, bad cinnamon will be, uh, so that is, that's what's on. Uh, got an idea? Well, share. Come on, out with it, my friend. We do have a good time. For the record, Queen Bee laughs so hard throughout the live stream that her husband comes in to see her giggling, facepalm, giggling at, just watching me. Oh, okay. Yeah, tell me. Hi, Galaxy. You back? But I do need to go take care of my blood sugar. So that's kind of look forward to tomorrow. It is my birthday tomorrow. 41 years old, 14 and a half years of continuous sobriety. We're going to celebrate it all. I want you all to be there. Share it out. Tell all your friends, tell all your family. We are going to have a good time. So that does bring us to a good stopping point. And again, at that stopping point, I'd like to remind you all, at day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And for all of you out there, if no one out there has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.